What's up, everybody? This is Sam with Hit the Woodline, as well as soon to be, hopefully, Omnia Paratus training and consulting. That's going to be based out of North Arkansas. It's something that I'm putting on. More on that later. If you've seen anything on the Instagram page, you kind of saw a little bit about that. This is kind of going to be a post more regulated to that side of things as opposed to the Hit the Woodline. However, it kind of conveys over. So the topic for today is if you're a devil-handed shooter like myself. So I'm a left-handed shooter. I'm right-handed. I'm left eye dominant. I'm cross dominant. I practice both, but primarily I use my dominant eye side. A lot of people don't. A lot of people do. There are plenty of people out there that are left-handed or left eye dominant and they just choose to fight through it with their right side. I've been doing it for about 2 decades now. So I found out I was left eye dominant when I was about 8, when I first got into shooting sports, and then basically from then on, it's been about 20 years that I've been shooting left-handed as a right-handed shooter. So once the learning curve was over with, it's just kind of what I adopted. So if you are that type of person like myself, or you're just strictly a lefty-lefty, you know kind of the struggle of running long guns left-handed, especially the AR platform. Some platforms like the AK are a little bit better outside of the selector setup because the charging handle's on that side. Usually what we end up having to do is dump a ton of money into ambi controls or get an ambi lower. I never really was of that camp because I had originally been of the, if I can't get an ambi handgun, which is something that I have a lot more often than a rifle, I'm not going to mess with getting it for a rifle. With the advent of the Gen 5 Glocks, we had, or at least for a Glock shooter like myself, there weren't a whole lot of options. The Smith & Wesson M&P, the FN, I can't remember. Prior to the 509, I can't remember the model. I had one of those. There were ambi-ish options, but Glock, all they ever really gave us was a mag release that could switch over. The Gen 5 came out. We now have actual slide lock release. Because of that, I try and keep things similar. If I can get left-handed controls for my handgun, I want them on my rifle as well. However, some are not like that. So today I wanted to talk about some options if you're a person who does not want to run ambi controls on a rifle. So I think at a very base minimum, if you're a left-handed shooter and you're shooting a standard AR setup and you do not want to get a full ambi lower, or you don't want to invest in a lot of ambi parts, that's fine. At a base minimum, your charging handle should be ambidextrous. 90% of them outside of the factory mil-spec stuff is. That's just kind of like, it seems like anymore, that's just the industry standard. We're going to make an ambi charging handle. I think that's awesome. An ambi selector makes life a whole lot easier. However, real quick, I'll show you. This is a empty gun. Hopefully you can see that. I have an ambi selector on here. However, if you're running a standard selector as a left-handed shooter, there are a couple options. You can roll your thumb on the outboard side of the rifle at this point and run it this way. You can use your knuckle and your finger. For me, what I do, I run an ambi selector just because, depending on the ready position, typically a compressed ready, if I'm coming up, it's a whole lot harder to sweep with my knuckle. And I don't like running my thumb over. Some do, some are okay with that. I've never really found it comfortable or enjoyable. So I do run an ambi selector. Now, with that being said, if you were keeping everything else normal, one of the questions that tends to come up is, how do you do reloads? Well, for me, this is a training round in a otherwise empty magazine. If this was an empty magazine, your options really at that point are to use your thumb to remove the mag. Very simple, right? Nothing really groundbreaking there. But what about sending the bolt forward? That tends to be the big hang-up for a lot of people. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people taught to run the charging handle for all the years that they did, because there weren't a whole lot of options. It would be insert the mag. As long as you didn't have anything impeding access to the charging handle, you would run the charging handle and life would be groovy. However, there is a better option. There's two, really. One is the one that I did for a lot of years, and that is when the mag is inserted, I'm taking my index finger that is riding on the paddle, pushing it inward, thus sending the bolt forward. However, that does tend to be a problem in a couple of different ways. If you are someone who, let me grab that real fast. If you are someone who has done that inertia load with a Glock before, where you kind of roll with your index finger on the slide release, and you go to insert the mag and the force of the mag going in sends the slide forward, you'll know that what you can have happen sometimes is the slide actually goes forward before it ever picks up the round. That can happen with the AR platform. And what that is basically you push too soon, and now all of a sudden round's still in the mag. So what I prefer, and what I actually picked up from Steve Fisher years ago, is that when I insert the mag, I roll my hand over to the paddle and push the paddle. That also puts my hand in a position that I can bring it up the hand guard versus having to come from here to the hand guard. So I'll do that again at speed, just to kind of show you that it's not slow in any way. This also helps to make sure that you do not send the bolt forward ahead of time. So we will say out with the old mag, in with the new, and I'm back forward and I'm in the fire. That is, if you're not going to run a true ambi lower, probably my preferred way of doing it. One of the reasons that I mentioned is that, and it's probably the biggest reason, is you don't send the bolt forward ahead of time. The other reason is when you get out of fair weather situations. So let's say you have gloves. These are just my general work gloves. I want everything I own to work relatively well with general work gloves, because that's what I have on the majority of the time. I don't have a lot of shooter-driven gloves that I wear in the daily, outside of something like a Nomex glove. So now, if you are someone who is primarily using their index finger to hit the paddle release, if you will look, because of the thickness of the gloves, and these are not very thick gloves, they're actually very dexterous. I can get into the trigger guard, I can manipulate the safety, I can do all of that. I can even run my ambidextrous mag release that I have on here. I can't really reach that bolt paddle. So everyone's like, oh, just hit it with your finger. You can, but it's really a stretch, and you have to be a lot more deliberate with it. So again, I take my mag, and now all of a sudden I'm back in the fight. I have it all with my general work gloves on. So that is just a consideration to take in. If you like this video and you want to see more tips and tricks, not only for left-handed shooters, but as far as AR setups go and manipulations and things like that, let me know in the comments. I'll try and do more videos and stuff on that, and as well as handguns if you'd like. Also, if you're in the Northeast Arkansas-ish area, or in the surrounding areas, or if you're just in Arkansas, or if you're in outside of state and you want to come in, stay tuned to Omnia Paratus Training and Consulting on the Instagram, as well as I hope to get a website up and running soon. When that happens, I'm hoping that by middle of 23 we'll have classes going, if not sooner. So right now it's just kind of the legal side of stuff, getting all that squared away, getting some funding for that, sponsorships and stuff like that if I can. Just because, I mean, I do all this out of pocket as it is. So anyways, guys, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.